Hey, so we're undergoing a heat wave here in the UK, and I'm sure it's hot other places in the world too. I'm going to do a face full of Maybelline, and it's going to be a heat wave test as well. You might be wondering why Maybelline. Well, I basically fell in love, as you will have seen over one of my last videos. I fell in love with the Lumi-Matte 30-hour Lumi-Matte foundation, and also the anti-age eraser concealer. So I suddenly thought, oh, why don't I have a look and see what else I've got that's kind of Maybelline? And I've got quite a lot, actually. Some of it I've used maybe once, and some of it I haven't used at all. So I'm going to try and do a full face and hopefully test its bulletproofness, if that's a word, in heat waves. I want to see if we're talking sweat proof, meltdown proof, shiny proof. It's a big task, but let's see if they can do it. Good old Maybelline. All the products that I'm going to be using I'll list in the description box. So follow along and let's see how it goes. Right, I've done all my skin prep. I've done my eyebrows too, and also added some Poreless Jelly Primer. I don't usually wear primer, but I thought actually because of the challenge that we're undergoing today, it might actually be a good idea to wear primer. My big tip on this is very, very light layers, and allow the makeup layers to dry before you put on another layer. So I did that earlier, did all of that earlier so that everything could dry, and it has. So okay, Lumi-Matte. I finally worked out why it's called Lumi and Matte. It's basically because it does have a glow, and but it dries down to a matte texture, because I thought you couldn't really do Lumi and matte, but actually that I googled it, and that's what I thought. I would never have guessed that, but anyway, that's the solution. It's because it does have a glow, and that's obviously why I really like it. Again, light layers, and I will blend and blend and blend. I might cut out some of the blending because obviously you guys don't need to see me sit here and blend, but I think that might be a bit of a secret to long-lasting makeup. I also put a little bit of concealer on my eyelids, so that dries down properly. Oops. And okay, and now the concealer that has actually replaced my beloved Natasha Denona. How can that even be? Maybe it's a fad, we'll see. But I very rarely use powder because my skin is so dry. So I loved this because it just stayed where it was. It's quite light, it's quite thin, but the coverage is good. And it was very long lasting when I wore it the last time. When it was not quite as hot as it is today, but hot enough. So there we go, concealer. If you're wondering what I used on my eyebrows, it's the I used this amazingly fine Maybelline pencil, which is basically the it's called the Brow Express. So I put a tiny bit of that on. I'm using this Superlock Brow Glue, see whether my eyebrows stay up, and a tiny bit of Builder Brow, which obviously many of you will have seen before. It's not, none of these are particularly new products, to be honest. They're just, I just wanted to do a face full of Maybelline. Right, I let that dry down for a little bit, just to so I do as I say, and let everything dry between layers before I add this Lifter Stix bronzer. Well, I think it might be a contour. I don't actually know which, but it's I found it in a drawer. I tried it on the back of my hand over the weekend and thought, well, maybe it's going to be a bit too dark, but it's the only one I've got, so here we go. Bit of shaping before I add what I think is the scariest blush I've ever seen. And I do remember using this when I first bought it, and it totally freaked me out. So I am taking my life in my hands. Well, no, not really. It's only makeup. It's not anything really life and death. But I am going to try something that has not been standout in the past, but actually I was thinking, well, maybe I'll give it another go technique-wise and see if I can do something that's a little bit different. This is it on the doe foot. Now, I put 2 dots on my face when I used it the last time, and it was like, talk about blush blindness. It was absolutely dreadful. So I'm going to do something else and see whether this works any better. I'm going to put 2 tiny little dots on the back of my hand, and look, can you see? That's that. And then the other side, blend it into the brush. I mean, that's it basically. It's from my perspective, it's unadvisable to put straight onto your face and really put the tiniest amounts that you could possibly imagine using. But it's just such a lovely colour. It's a really pretty colour. And I'm going to cocktail that with something else that I found, which is a pink. This is in 05. And again, now this one's not so bad. This is actually not matte. This is has a bit of a shimmer to it. So dare I? No, actually I don't. I'm still going to put it on the back of my hand, actually. And if I remember rightly, this one isn't too bad actually, but it's not like the matte blusher. But I'm not going to risk it. See, isn't that lovely? And good old Maybelline. Going to do a bit more blending, make sure it's all in there. But I just love that blush. Now, the other thing that I found, which I don't know if I'm going to use, is this highlighter, which is I might wait. I'm going to wait. I'm going to use this at the end if I need it. So stand by. I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see me put its eyeshadows next. This is the Blushed Nudes from Maybelline. It's a really lovely palette. I can't remember using it. What's so brilliant about it is that on the back it does actually tell you that you can use these colours as quads or trios or duos, and I've swatched these as quads just so that you can see all of the colours. They didn't swatch that well, so I don't know how it's going to be on my eyes. You know, sometimes you put stuff on your arms and it doesn't really do very well. So I'm going to use the first quad, which is basically these 4 here. That one, that's number 1, that's number 2, that's number 3, and that's number 4. So I'm going to add all of those and see what I can come up with. The palette also tells you what to do, handily. So 1 goes all over the lid, like so. Oh, quite a lot of fallout. So that is going to serve as a setting powder for my concealer that I applied earlier. So that. Then the second one, just wipe that brush off a little bit. Colour number 2, if you're using this as a quad, it says put on lid. And that's a nice shimmery pink. So that's going on the lid. Number 3, you see there is quite a lot. Look at that. There is quite a lot of fallout there. Number 3 is, oh my goodness me, look at that. I mean, it's going onto the eyes quite nicely, but so 3 is define the crease as per instructions. Gosh, look at this. I would start on the outside because your brush is going to be full of this product. Define the outside edge. Define the crease. I mean, the fallout's not great, let's put it that way, but it is a lovely, it's not terribly pigmented, but I think that's quite good if we're just doing a kind of light layers type of makeup. So just blend that in a little bit more. Number 4 is going to be the outer V, so, or the outer corner as they call it. So just tap that on, just very gently, and then I'll blend it out in a minute. There you go. So it's not bad. I mean, it looks great. Will it last? Who knows? Okay, I blended everything in and got rid of some of the brush hairs that fell off. I don't know, one of my brushes is nearing the end of its life. I also put some mascara on. I used what I call the 2 Sky Highs, the primer and also the mascara in black. I really like this mascara, but who knows if it'll let me down badly in a heat wave. And it's rivaling my Benefit Bad Gal, but let's see who wins in the long term. So while I was searching through my stash, I found this green. I love green eye pencils, and I haven't used it. Now, normally I don't put anything on my bottom lashes or my bottom lash line, but I'm actually going to see if I can brighten up this look a little bit with a tiny bit of, it's called Forest Green. Now, whether it'll end up looking like it's running down my face by lunchtime, who knows? Like I said, I'm going to do a wear test on this same day. I'll put it at the end of this video. Got quite a lot of running around to do, and I'm meeting a friend for lunch, and it is really warm out there. So this will be a full test. Poor Maybelline. I'm sure you'll come out absolutely fine. Now, I promised that I would try this highlighter, which is that. Now, it's really thick and glittery, so I am going to just do a little bit off the back of my hand on both sides. Again, if you just use the tiniest bit. I was quite scared of that, but actually, I think that's all right. A little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. So finally, it's lipstick time. Right, so I've added some lip liner. This one's called Out of Line. I tried to use this before and I wasn't quite sure about it, but this is the 105 Golden Vinyl Lip. Okay, that's it. Standouts, got to be the foundation and the concealer. They're now off my first impressions list and onto my absolutely must-haves. Absolutely fantastic because I've used them so many times. The two blushes, the matte red and the sparkly pink, are absolutely lovely. Actually, the scary red was not so scary, but again, it's just about being careful about how you use it. The everything else, we'll just have to wait and see. Will it all last? I don't really know. But when in doubt, keep going. So I'm going to check in about 3 hours time, and I'm going to check in about 5 hours time and see how things are doing. But in the meantime, stay cool. I didn't add the lasting fix, but that's what I sprayed on right at the very end once I was off camera. But yeah, see how it does. Wear test coming up. Hello, well, here we go. As promised, the wear test. Everything exactly how it should be, really. I was going to do a 3-hour check-in, but nothing had moved, so there was no point. This is a 5-hour check-in. I did actually just put on a tiny bit of the scary red blush just to brighten up my cheeks, and I put a bit more lipstick on because I went to lunch and that kind of wore off. My green eyeliner did actually smudge a tiny bit, but I've just added a bit more to tidy that up. But eyebrows still in place. Makeup, the eye makeup is hardly, I mean, there's a couple of lines, but nothing very much. And concealer's absolutely where it should be. Everything's absolutely brilliant. So Maybelline versus the heat. Maybelline, you win.